I think a great discussion that really underlined the new world of the SDGs, the need to kind of get out of the way we normally work, the need to bring unusual partners into the room, the need to be much more creative about how we achieve this very ambitious agenda. Clearly, we need to bring in the business community much more systematically, and the Jordanian minister was talking about this massive financing gap. It's not going to be aid that closes the gap between $150 billion and $2.5 trillion, but it's also about civil society and really transparency. I think we're very conscious that if this agenda is fundamentally about the quality of development. It's about not simply hiding behind aggregated national numbers, but disaggregating those numbers to see what really is the quality of progress. How has it reached women? How has it reached remote areas in countries and so forth? Then you really do need to open up the process, firstly for the participation of these sort of groups, often structurally disadvantaged, and secondly to the scrutiny of these groups, for them to be the judge as to whether we're making success or not, rather than just relying on our reports sitting in capitals. Absolutely. I think this is an area where we're all learning, but Islamic Development Bank estimates Islamic finance somewhere in the vicinity of $500 billion a year. It certainly converges. The spirit behind Zakah is a spirit of equity, of helping the disadvantaged, and so forth. So there is, I think, a tremendous alignment between the SDGs and the vision of Agenda 2030 and the spirit behind people who provide funding for Islamic finance. So we have a close collaboration with the Islamic Development Bank. We have started a work with our Istanbul Center on a portal for essentially social impact investment and Islamic finance, which will be a kind of clearinghouse for lifting everyone's understanding of these issues. UNDP has also been working in a number of countries on Islamic finance, perhaps most advanced in Indonesia, where we have very large-scale programs the Deputy Minister talked about, where Islamic finance is going into renewable energy projects in Indonesia. So these are some very exciting new developments that we hope will grow and grow. I think the SDGs and Agenda 20 have kind of taken the world by storm. I have lived through the MDGs, and certainly they were a rallying cry, but I think the SDGs have changed the dynamics in many different ways. Firstly, as I said, this much more qualitative challenge to the world about looking at the quality of our development progress and how that is shared. But of course it's universality. The SDGs are not only about the global south, they're also about the north, they're about Europe, they're about North America, they're about Japan. And so we have in countries like Sweden, for example, a pretty robust SDG debate, and that really brings everyone into the room together. And I think in that sense, it really is a global agenda, and that changes everything. And so indeed, I do think there is a tremendous amount of energy. The ambition is huge. I don't pretend that it is an easy task, but if you've got to start with political will, then I think the will is out there. Now we've got to make sure we have the creativity to access the kind of financing. We have the courage to bring in unusual people into the room and to be transparent so that we can be kind of judged and measured by the people who matter. And we need to have the implementation capacity to turn ideas into action. So this will be the big challenges for the years ahead.